All right, welcome to the stream, everybody. We're going to get kicked off. We got most of our players. We're still waiting on just a couple, the usuals who are late. And then we're going to go ahead and get started. So we'll start with the weekly recap, which I believe PB wrote up for us. She can either read that or just give us a general rundown from her memory. And then we will lead into a flashback scene with Jarral, who's either going to give us a flashback or a campfire story. I wasn't sure which one, but he'll give us that. And then we will jump back into the action of Nightstone that has been savaged by some giants. So, all right, let's hear our recap from PB as people are joining in and getting settled in.
All right, so I couldn't remember what log this was, if it was number 3 or number 4, so I wrote both. Well, that it was log 3 and 4. So, on the title. That doesn't matter to anybody listening, but to you guys who read them, I don't know if it's 3 or 4. Anyway, so we were able to drive off the goblins from this abandoned town. After searching the goblins, it seems as though they were looting anything and everything they could get their hands on. Those disgusting creatures. After investigating the boulders littering the ruined town, I made the worrying discovery that these rocks fell straight from above. I thought maybe giants threw them, but if they came from above, this is much more dangerous than just some regular giants. It explains why I didn't find any siege unit tracks or those of even giants. We drew the drawbridge and slept in the broken temple to restore the energy spent on fighting the goblins who swore their revenge on us and or the town. In the morning, we decided to create a path over to the keep across the broken bridge. After an hour of construction, we made our way over, finding the place in ruins. It appears whatever attacked Nightstone hit the keep the hardest. After the team wandered around the outside of the keep, we ventured inside where we encountered 4 guards and the body of the late Lady Valrossa. It appears that our mission here has hit a wall. The guards, Sidiri, Hunlar, Kalin, Torum, and Alara, stayed here in hopes of digging out the dead body of Lady Valrossa rather than protecting the town proper or leaving the rest of their people to protect them from the dangers of the wilds. The idiots didn't even realize that the town they presumably swore to protect was being ransacked by a horde of goblins. Absolutely useless. They did inform us of what attacked and how. At least they aren't as blind as they are deaf and stupid. A floating castle came and attacked the town from above, dropping the boulders all over, but concentrated their efforts mainly on the keep. Once the town was in enough of a disarray, a couple of giants descended from the floating castle and picked up the Nightstone right from the town center. The Nightstone is an artifact so old and so complex that no one knows what it is, does, or what it's supposed to do. Seems like the most idiotic thing to have as a town centerpiece, but the humans in charge here don't seem to be the brightest. Now, we are left with a choice. We can either go and speak to the elves of the Waterdeep forest, or we go help the townspeople who migrated to some caves northwest of town, hoping that those guards who left with them aren't as incompetent as the ones they left here. My vote is always with the people. The Waterdeep elves can wait. Hopefully those leading the townspeople weren't stupid enough to choose a cave system hidden in the forest near the elves. If so, we may get to meet the Waterdeep elves as all the same. Scene.
Awesome. Nice job. So yeah, that catches us up, and eventually we will be posting those recaps that have been written out by our players in a spot where everybody can go back and take a look at them. You can always go back and watch the videos from the DM side of things. Those are on the YouTube channel, and now I've been getting the VODs in Twitch, so you can start watching those, or you can watch the player perspectives. MC Kerrnel has been posting his perspective, so you can see it from a player's perspective. All right, so we're only missing the one. We're gonna go ahead. We're just missing Greybeard mostly. He'll probably be here any moment. But let's go ahead and move over to one of the things we wanted to do to bring a little bit more depth to the characters was to provide another, what we call the flashback scene, or the sitting around the campfire scene, where a character tells a story and hopefully gives us some insight into that character a little bit. And this week is Jarral is up, and he's going to give us a scene real quick. So you're up.
When I first joined this band of misfits, we had an unsuccessful endeavor trying to locate an heirloom. It had been stolen from a prominent baron and baroness while in Waterdeep, and was alleged that it was stolen by a brigand named Irad. As we investigated, all the signs were present that the heirloom was never stolen, but had been given to the baron's mistress. Irad, while clever, was clearly of a lesser caliber of thief than could pull off this kind of heist. I tried to sway the group to this obvious conclusion, but it was of no use, instead convincing themselves that the simple and charismatic Irad had masterminded this complicated scheme. After looking foolish in front of the Baroness when it became irrefutable that Irad was not responsible, the party spent another week chasing their tails until they finally saw the obvious. We shared this knowledge with the Baroness, who took care of things from there. Later, at the beginning of another job, we were camping in the wilderness for a night when I regaled them with a story. When I was in Heliogabalus, learning my archaeological trade, an expedition was made to a newly discovered ruin in the hills north of Ironspur. Our group was 6 in total, including our instructor, who was a powerful and experienced wizard. We descended down a series of caves and collapsed tunnels, excavating as we went, disarming traps, until we came to a cavernous area. At the end of the tunnel leading to this cavern, a cartouche was mounted in the wall on each side of the tunnel. One was clearly a warning. The other would take some time to study. I told the group to hold while I studied the cartouche some more. They ignored me. To the left in the cavern were a series of levers. To the right, there were a series of pulleys. In the center was a mechanism I had never seen before, and carved into the floor were symbols and glyphs. As I studied the cartouche, the rest of the group went ahead to fiddle with these things that they knew nothing about. Everyone died. As the floor collapsed, poison arrow traps were shot and blades found purchase. After deciphering the cartouche, a short time later, I successfully navigated these traps and discovered the long-lost treasure of the Mabinogians. Teagraiel was enthralled by this story.
Oh my god, that was amazeballs.
He would say in excitement. Were you a hero at the university? Greybeard was equally digesting it, asking, did you get any of that loot? I admit, I was a little exasperated, though I knew these questions were coming. No, there was no history or treasure. There was no Mabinogians or ruin. I waved my hand emphatically. It was a metaphor, or simile. Your language confuses me, I said, standing. I looked at both of them, and in turn to the rest of the group gathered around the fire. Don't complicate things by overlooking the obvious, I said matter of fact, and walked away into the darkness to meditate. End scene.
Done. With a nice assist from Teagraiel in there. So that was awesome. Yeah, you've earned your inspiration for tonight, so you can mark that down on your character sheet.
Oh, sweet.
That will give you taking an advantage on any type of combat or skill check roll you wish. So that was cool. All right, so let's bring her back in. I had the character sheet up so people could take a look at the characters. Let's go ahead and get us back. You can see we're in Nightstone, still just south of Waterdeep, but let's move us to the correct map. Put our players back into Nightstone.
And we all leveled up.
And you are all level 2, but we're going to take care of that real quick here in just a sec also.
Sweet.
As I zoom out and get to the right spot. So we pick up... Oh, actually, can you see anything? Let's see, let me... What I might do is I'm going to give you control. Just a second. We have a guest that's watching, but I bet they won't be able to see the map unless I give them a token. So let me do that.
We're still down in the ruin thing, right?
Yeah, we should be. With
Okay.
I think just one person in the is out in the courtyard, I believe. All right, so I'll put that there, which I think will allow you to see. And
I think it must be Teagraiel that's outside.
Yeah, I'm
I think-
on the causeway.
yeah, let me just finish one little quick thing.
Can you guys hear the traffic outside?
Only now that you pointed it out.
Oh, amazing.
I heard a little bit of a hum, but nothing much.
All right, so we pick back up in our courtyard here. Remember, it is the morning. Just to remind everybody, it is the morning of the 4th day of the first 10-day of Flame Rule. So, and we were talking to the guards who were standing around Lady Valrossa's body and have just been talking to the group and informing them of what information they had. And Armel has agreed to say some burial rites for Lady Valrossa, who has died in the giant attack, and the guards have deferred to him and are helping with gathering certain items of Lady Valrossa from around the keep, and they're going to go ahead and carry the body across the courtyard and then allow Armel to do kind of a ceremony, and then they're going to place Lady Valrossa in the crypt, which is in the graveyard part of Nightstone. So let's go ahead and I'm going to move everybody back over to the map because we're just going to kind of cut to that. This map is so big, so it makes moving people around crazy, but give me just a sec. I can barely see everybody. Missing anybody? All right. Zoom back in now. All right, so yeah, Aila, Greybeard, missing Teagraiel. Where is Teagraiel?
I'm way up at the graveyard.
Oh, okay.
He
All
booked
right,
it.
you're already up there. All right, yeah, so
Yeah.
you guys can move your characters now, and you can move them up there. So basically what we're seeing is 2 of the guards are carrying precious items from Lady Valrossa's manor, the keep that she owned there, and 2 of them are carrying like on a stretcher with a shroud covered over it is Lady Valrossa's body, and you make it across the makeshift causeway with no problem. And then they place the body up near, if everybody moves up towards the crypt, they're going to place it just outside of the crypt to allow Armel to have a little ceremony here. So we can move everybody up there real quick.
This is the crypt here?
Yeah, there should be a white little small stone building right
That one?
inside the first graveyard.
Okay, I'm assuming it's this one here then.
All right, so we got everybody up there. Okay. While we're waiting, actually what ends up happening is Armel, we see him, he actually has to leave the keep a moment as he goes up to where the drawbridge is, and you guys are going to open the drawbridge for him. And he's looking around and he sees a tree out in the distance, not more than maybe a football field's away, a couple 100 yards. And he walks up to a tree, and we can see him grab a branch, and he brings it back, and then everybody's sitting outside the crypt waiting. He's carving some letters of Ogun and druidic symbols on this branch. That's basically an aspen branch. Part of the ritual is for him to, he measures the body to make sure with this ritual branch that he is creating, to make sure that it's going to fit into the burial site. Inside the crypt is a stone kind of stand, and on it is 2 coffins. One is Lady Valrossa's husband, who has died a couple years back, and then there's the empty one, which they're going to be placing Lady Valrossa in. While he's carving those symbols onto the aspen branch, the guards are placing objects of importance and objects of value that were Lady Valrossa's with her body, and placing them in the crypt alongside where they're going to lay her to rest. And then Armel kind of kneels down next to her and begins to whisper in her ear, and basically is kind of guiding Valrossa's spirit to peace. It's just a pretty standard, more of a nature type funeral than it is any one of the specific Forgotten Realm gods. And then they pick up the body and they move her and place her into the crypt, into the coffin, and place the stone lid onto the coffin. And this all probably takes about an hour's amount of time. And then we come up from the crypt. And now Lady Valrossa has been laid to rest. And as you guys are standing there, the guards, which Sidiri starts talking to them and says, they're kind of standing a little bit off from where you guys are, so you guys can be wherever you want to be. I'm just going to put them here next to the inn real quick. And you can hear them saying, they're not being quiet or anything, but Sidiri is kind of starting to take command. And she says, all right, we're gonna post watch. We're gonna put one of us every 4 hours up on the keep. The keep tower is the best way for us to see anybody that's coming towards this town. And the other 3 of us, we're gonna go ahead and start grabbing these bodies. And first, we're gonna find any of the townspeople that are, and they're not really talking to you guys. She's kind of like addressing them. They're standing in a line, and she's almost like a sergeant talking to, a group of a rank and file. And she's like, we're going to bring those of us that aren't on watch are going to go ahead and get the bodies of the townsfolk, and we're going to go ahead and bring them to the north side of Nightstone, where we will place them, and then we'll begin to we'll keep them, and hopefully that the villagers, when they get back, or the townspeople when they get back, we can hold funerals for the different family members that may be coming back, and we can start to dig some of those graves. We're also, once we have all of the townspeople that we can find in the village that have died, all the bodies, and there's a bunch of guards that they also need to get out of the guards barracks that have died. Then she says, we're gonna grab all of these filthy goblins and these wargs. We're gonna take them out to the east side, or actually out to the west side of town here, and we're gonna just throw them into a big pile and burn them outside of town, though. And so you can kind of tell that that's what they're going to do. And Sidiri's like, all right, Kaylin, you've got first watch for 4 hours. You go ahead and get up to the top of the tower. Let us know if anything's coming. Standard signals. And he kind of salutes, and he runs off. And he's going to go sit on the top of the tower. And then these 3 begin to start. They're going to go through the buildings and start looking for bodies. So while they're saying that and doing that, what would the group like to do?
So Jarral will ask what is the goal of keeping watch? If something were to approach the town, what could you possibly do to repel the danger? You are 4.
Correct, but we can't just leave the town unattended, and we don't want to just be out here grabbing bodies and then something attack while we don't know what's coming. Or the townsfolk might be coming, so we might need to know when to lower the drawbridge. It always seems like a better idea to have somebody on watch than to not have anybody on watch.
I understand. Perhaps it would be more feasible to find where the townsfolk went, because if they were to come back, you would be in the same situation, except now they are in danger.
Right. Well, we think Sidiri, who you're speaking to, who seems to be the leader of the guards at this point, she's like, well, I expect them to be back any day now. It's only been 2 days, and typically they would probably wait a couple of days before trying to venture back to see if any danger has passed. Something like this has really never happened, so I don't expect them to come racing back right away. So it's better for us to just get the town ready, keep the drawbridge up, and get ready for their arrival. And if they don't arrive in the next day or so, then yeah, I think what we will do is we'll send one of us out to go and start looking for them to see if they made it to the caves, or if they went further, or if they went somewhere else.
How about we become helpful and go look for them?
You certainly could.
We can speed this process up for you.
So, I had a character question.
She's not, and she's like, yeah, that could be a great idea. We would be happy for you to go look for them.
So, an out of character question. When we ended the last session, I know we were talking about what some of our options were. Did we ever decide on anything, or were we going to come back to the group and try and have a discussion?
Yeah, you guys had not decided yet. And for you guys to actually attain your second level, you need at least a day of doing, of contemplation. Like the way I look at it, as far as the roleplay way, the melee type characters or the fighting type characters need to spend a day of kind of sparring with each other, or sparring, doing manual stuff, and that would reflect them actually gaining some knowledge or gaining something new that they didn't have. And for those that are more of the academics, so our druid and our mage would spend the day either in contemplation or studying books that they had, or even I was thinking what Teagraiel could be studying in the library to actually attain your second level. Because we need to do something. I mean, that's even probably not enough in reality, but we need to do at least something to mark the occasion of you guys going from first level to second level and gaining some new ability, some new power. So keep that in mind. So maybe in your plans.
Maybe we could spend. So you said it was morning, right?
Yeah, after the funeral part, now we're probably getting late morning. We're starting to get close to afternoon. Well, like the noon time.
So
10:30, 11ish.
All right. So is the whole group around us, or are we spread out?
We're all here.
Looks like you're all there. Yeah.
Okay. So Jarral suggests perhaps I'm in need of meditation. Perhaps we can assist the guards through the day, shadow them, maybe have an exchange of knowledge as a way of keeping ourselves sharp, and stay the night just to make sure everything's settled, and then we can decide and discuss what to do overnight, and have a decision in the morning of what direction we want to go?
Works for me. I'll spend the time in the library.
Sounds great.
Hey, there he is.
So does that sound good to the group? I kind of had planned like a little training day montage part here, if that's what you guys are agreeing to.
Yeah,
do.
that's kind of where I was going for. Like we could train with
Yeah.
the guards, and we can impart some stuff to them. They can impart some stuff to us, basically leveling up. And
Yeah, let's set that up then. Okay, so our barbarian friend, for you to typically gain your next level, and I think what'll happen with just mechanics wise, going from first to second isn't that big a deal. That's why it's only really a day. Maybe second to third might be a 2-day thing, and then third to fourth, it just gets exponentially harder as you're getting those bigger and better abilities to kind of show that you're gaining powers. So what I was thinking, just as our montage, we can see, throughout the day, any of you would help with some of the bodies, and that gives you that your hit point increase and because you're getting your physical workout a little bit, and it doesn't have to be more than just a few hours because it's not going to take long to gather all the bodies. And then with our barbarian, he's typically, he kind of challenges our fighter to wrestling, and then maybe challenges, our ranger to a throwing contest or a crossbow shooting contest. And so that happens throughout the day. And between, them kind of sparring, it's almost like you're learning something new because you're having to fight somebody and see their style. So you're picking something up or you're learning something new about yourself. I assume the monk more of a meditation and maybe does more kind of stylized kata stuff. But also could be part of the wrestling or hand-to-hand combat with some of the more melee types, and maybe you're learning something from that and you're also teaching them something at that same time. And then our ranger and druid at some point throughout this day also, I imagine that they have a discussion maybe just outside the walls, out here near the trees, kind of a little bit away from man-made objects, and kind of reattuning themselves to nature. And this is a good chance for Ian to start to understand more of the magical nature that she's starting to get with her experience. And then our druid Armel is, by teaching somebody, learning something more about his connection to nature and those things that are around him. And it wouldn't be something where they're too far away from the keep. Maybe they're just out here in the field, out near some trees. There's trees all around, not too far off, even though the map doesn't really show it too well. Probably within a few hundred yards, you're surrounded by trees, so they would be able to kind of work together there. And then our wizard would probably, I think the library is the most significant place where he could learn stuff. But also maybe throughout the day you have talks with our druid, so you're learning a little bit about druidic magic, and that might give you an insight to, although you can't do those things, maybe it gives you kind of an idea of about something wizardry, wizardly wise, that would kind of also indicate why you're learning new things. And maybe we'll even say for you, if you're picking up a new spell, or I don't remember how many you get, but maybe that's stuff you find in the keep, and that's how you pick them up and write them into your spell book. You happen to find them in the library.
Yeah, and both of my new spells are abjuration spells, so they're more defensive protection stuff.
Cool. And anybody can add anything to that RP-wise if they want. Greybeard, if there's anything you want to add to that RP-wise to say, what are you doing today that kind of signifies you learning your new abilities, or you getting tougher today? Your hit points have increased a little bit. If there's anything you want to add to that, go ahead.
Like, maybe at some point, reckless attack, I just sort of attack everyone all at once.
Yeah, you take them all on at one time, and everybody, all the melee people come at you, and even the guards will help out here and there, and you get a good workout from being attacked from all kinds of different areas, and being able to work on that. So that's good. Anything else you want to add?
I think that's pretty good. Maybe, the whole danger sense thing, maybe the ranger teaches me, hey, look, attacks can come from all sides or something, and maybe I pick something up from her.
Okay, yeah, great.